session will not be recorded, so that is the only difference. If you're having difficulties listening because we are playing a video and audio through Teams, all of this will be available on eContract Philly. So I apologize if there are any technical difficulties. And with that, I am going to go ahead and share my screen and start the presentation. So thanks everyone for joining. I am going to put the sign-in sheet in the chat. I know most of you have already signed in at this point. My name is Caitlin Coffey. I am the Opel project manager. Thank you all for joining us today. Trevor, if you wouldn't mind moving to the next slide. This slide really is just to cover the eContract Philly opportunity, which I'm sure all of you have already accessed, given that you're here today. And again, thank you for joining. Next slide. Before we get started, I wanted to make sure that everyone mutes themselves during this presentation. We will have a Q&A period at the end of the presentation, so please save all of your questions for that time frame. We will be able to monitor the chat at the end, but again, if you could save all of the questions until the end, that would be great. This session is recorded, and we will be uploading that recording to eContract Philly, and this session in particular will be shared again on Thursday's meeting. So it will be the same exact content with the exception of the Q&A. We will be stopping the recording at the Q&A session for each presentation. And then again, the recordings will be available on eContract Philly. In terms of our agenda, we're going to lead off with our sponsor remarks from Mark Wheeler. We'll then lead into introducing some of our proposal requirements and submission instructions, as well as the scope of work. And then lastly, we'll follow up with questions and answers. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mark Wheeler, our Chief Information Officer, for some remarks.
Thanks, Caitlin. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the presentation. Next slide. I just want to give you some background on the city. The city of Philadelphia is about 29,000 employees on our payroll. That includes both full-time and some embedded staff aug. Philadelphia is both a city and a county. We have a diverse number of departments. We have roughly over 50. We have a municipal water, an airport. We have procurement operations, full fire and police, prisons, just to name a few. So we're very rich, sometimes very complicated environment to work in, with many different regulatory authorities providing the direction for our departments and then working collectively as a city county government. So this is a very important opportunity for us to bring in new technology that will allow each of these very different departments meet their mission goals, but do it with much improved efficiency and with a set of standards that we can all rely on. Next slide. So the objectives of the Opel project is that we definitely want to establish standardized operations across all of the financial and procurement processes and systems that we use, no matter where they exist within the city regulatory framework. That we have now the ability to create customized reporting for those individual departments and that also meet some of our centralized standards, and definitely to improve our business analytics and productivity. We're going to need to link directly to external agencies, both federal, state, private organizations, and banks. And we definitely want to be able to enhance our regulatory requirements with easily used and configurable checklists. So for the technology, recently we have selected Workday Enterprise Management Cloud as our technology provider for Opel. The finance, grants, procurement, and supply chain modules all need to be implemented, and those will include business intelligence solutions. This Workday Enterprise Management Cloud is going to replace multiple legacy systems that are currently out of support, and one of them is decades old, reaching back into the 1990s. Next slide. So I think that's it, Caitlin, for me, and we do welcome your questions, and we're grateful for your attendance here today. This is an incredibly important important project for the city. We've spent a lot of time putting our teams together on change management and process change management and requirements analysis. So I think you'll find us extremely well prepared to engage you, and we all want to be successful in a very short period of time.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. As I mentioned, I think we have about 22 people that have actually signed in at the moment. Signing in is required because this meeting is required. So I would really appreciate it if you could use the link in the chat to go to the Microsoft Forms and log your attendance. I would also just screenshot your Teams meeting just so you have it. You don't need to send it to us at the moment, just a useful record. And we will be cross-checking the attendee list with the list that is actually automatically published from Microsoft Teams. And then that will be published on eContract Philly. And if there are any discrepancies, feel free to contact our Project Opel mailbox. In terms of introductions, as I mentioned at the beginning, my name is Caitlin Coffey. I'm the Opel Project Manager. In terms of our project sponsors, we have Mark Wheeler, who has just spoken. He's our Chief Information Officer. We have Rob Dubois, who is our Finance Director, and then Stephanie Tipton, our Chief Administrative Officer. And then also speaking today, we have Trevor Day, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Trevor Day, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Philadelphia, and I'm happy to be here and present about the Opel project.
Thanks, Trevor. Next slide. So all of the information.
Go ahead.
All of the information that we have today is not binding. Any information in terms of consulting information should be sourced directly to eContract Philly via our RFP. Any changes that we make to our RFP, again, will be listed under eContract Philly. As a special note, all of our city staff have signed confidentiality and conflict of interest agreements, and we do not intend to have any and have not had any vendor interactions outside of this formal process. In terms of questions, for post this meeting, we please submit those questions in Decision Director or the Project Opel mailbox. I will cover that later on. And again, we will have a question and answer period at the end of this presentation. All of our responses to our questions will be posted in the RFP listing on eContract Philly, as well as this recording, and the deck and the attendee list will also be published on eContract Philly. Next slide. In terms of our key activity dates, as I'm sure all of you are aware, our proposal was posted on March 8th. Our pre-proposal meetings are today and on Thursday. And again, Thursday will just be a recording of today's meeting, as well as an unrecorded question and answer session. The deadline to submit questions is May 27th. Our responses will be posted June 24th. The deadline to submit proposals is July 29th, and then our notice of intent to contract is October 3rd. Next slide. In terms of what this looks like on eContract Philly, if anyone's having any difficulties, they should be able to search the Office of Innovation and Technology with their opportunity number, which is at the beginning of this PowerPoint slide, and it should and will show up. Thanks, Trevor. Next slide.
I just wanted to note that if to get to this screen, you got to click on the new contract opportunities. I'm sure you've all done that, but just wanted to make that comment for the recording. So thank you. So I'm going to step through sort of the RFP submission process. It's a little bit different than sort of typical RFPs that are posted by eContract Philly or by the city. We typically post them on eContract Philly, and I'll walk you through some pieces that I think you should all be aware of. It gets posted to eContract Philly. You can find the opportunities on the new opportunities link. You can download an eContract Philly instruction manual. Encourage you to, if you're considering applying, to create an account on eContract Philly. There is a requirement for disclosures and disclosure forms on eContract Philly. I'll review that that information a little bit later. We are asking people, this is where it deviates from our typical RFPs. We are asking people to, through the RFP, go to Decision Director, which is a separate system, and compile your answers in Decision Director. You need to create an account there, enter proposal materials, including responses as required and attachments, and generate and export zip files from Decision Director, and then upload those into eContract Philly. eContract Philly does have a size limitation of 8 megabytes. All the zip files should be within that size limitation. And validate your disclosure forms on eContract Philly and review and submit the RFP. I'm going to step through a little bit, specific pieces to this process in the next slides. So, I just wanted to highlight, that you can create an account as soon as, today, tomorrow, and you can sort of review that disclosure requirement that is detailed out on eContract Philly. And, I suggest that you review that and, you can begin completing some of that application material today. And, if you do that, I would just suggest that, at a later point in time, you re-review that and ensure that that's an accurate account of the disclosures that you need to present to the city of Philadelphia. I just wanted to point out the steps that happen only in eContract Philly and not in Decision Director. So, you're creating an account in eContract Philly and you're also uploading zip files and completing the disclosure forms. This is a little screenshot of the disclosure overview, and I would encourage you to look at that information and review that information and report the requirements under that disclosure and eligibility requirement. The other piece to this submission process is, sort of the downloading and uploading of zip files. When you extract the zip files and upload them into eContract Philly, it's critical that you do not alter or change those files. If you need to edit the information, please edit that information in Decision Director. If you notice that you need to edit that information after you've extracted it, go back into Decision Director and extract a new file from Decision Director. It's critical that the information matches exactly what was extracted from Decision Director, and there will be a review of that information, ensuring that your proposals match whatever is entered into Decision Director. And if there are alterations to those zip files, it may impact whether the city can evaluate your proposal. So I just wanted to, make that clear and the best way to proceed in submitting a proposal. And again, this is a slide that just essentially states what I just said. And I also wanted to step through the process for submitting questions. The first step is really to download the question and answers template, which is an addendum to the RFP, and you can compile your questions on that template. You can submit it through Decision Director or through an email to projectopal@phila.gov. And the deadline to submitting questions will be May 27th, 2022. And the city will provide responses by June 24th, 2022. And then the proposals are due, I believe, July 29th, allowing you over a month from when the city provides responses to edit and update your proposals based upon our responses. I will say that, we're allowing, times at the end of this presentation for questions and answers, that may or may not be what you're looking for. So I would encourage you to, submit your questions in writing, and the city will respond to those questions as part of our process.
Just quickly, if you do submit questions via the Project Opal mailbox, we will not be confirming receipt of any emails that are submitted to the mailbox. So, but it is monitored. So.
Thank you for that, Caitlin. That's an important thing to note. Again, you can, on the eContract Philly website, there is an instructions manual. I encourage you to, access that and review that, and create an account in eContract Philly if your intent is to propose. And those are steps that can be done today, tomorrow, soon, and I encourage you to do that. So as part of this RFP, I wanted to highlight this component of the RFP. There's a supplier diversity component, and the city of Philadelphia makes it a priority to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. The city is building an inclusive government that reflects its community, and a city where race is not a determinant factor of success. The Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion leads this effort, but there is cross-departmental collaboration and leadership directing the city forward on this. One of the goals of the Office of DE&I is promoting equitable procurement, contracting, and entrepreneurship outcomes so that every person and every business has the chance to grow successfully. Specifically, the Office of Economic Opportunity sets ranges and consults with departments on much of this contracting work for the city of Philadelphia. That office falls under the Commerce Department, but has a reporting relationship to the Office of DE&I. It is all of our responsibility within the city, and I would say outside the city, to significantly work and improve the diversity of not only our companies, but creating business opportunities for diverse businesses. Any way that you can meet or exceed the supplier diversity ranges as stated in the RFP are a positive factor in the evaluation process. And please note that the city of Philadelphia does not certify businesses as MBEs or WBEs or DSBEs. We do register them, and there are a list of certifying agencies that can be found on OEO's website to validate MWDSBE as qualified to be registered with the OEO. I would encourage respondents or applicants, proposed applicants, to search the OEO registry to seek partners or verify if your partners are listed on the OEO registry. And I would suggest if they are not, that you can contact Alice Dungy at the email below for if you have any difficulty in getting those vendors registered. And oops, sorry. This is just a snapshot of OEO's website, sort of how to find a MWDSBE or how to register as a MWDSBE. And this is the OEO solicitation commitment form. The form needs to be fully completed and can accommodate up to three solicitations or vendors. You can fill out multiple of these if needed, if required. And we encourage you to consider the supplier diversity on this RFP seriously. And then here's some other information related to the OEO, supplier diversity ranges. And then, in terms of the posted RFP, here's a snapshot. There's the original RFP, there's multiple addendums, multiple appendices. I would review all attachments, addendums, and related information that is posted. It will help clarify and you can probably find most, if not all, of the answers that you're looking for in what is supplied. If you have questions, we again encourage you to submit a question through the Project Opal mailbox or through Decision Director. I would come back to this site and check this opportunity because there may be additional addendums that change certain components of the RFP. So I would check on it periodically over the next month to 2 months. And yeah. So in terms of the project scope, wanted to, sort of take some time to talk about this, the purpose of the project. So as Mark had mentioned, the systems that the city use are some of them dating back to the 1990s. Are well beyond their useful life and no longer meets the needs of the city, its employees, or the people that we serve. The purpose of this project is to redesign the financial grants, procurement, and supply chain business processes that leverages a leading practice-based functionality and technologies. And we're doing this through a market-leading COT solution. I would say that I'm not going to read each bullet, but generally the objectives of this project is enhanced business reporting, better internal and external customer service, improved efficiency and automation, an increase in access to data and data transparency, and being able to provide better data and information security, and generally streamlining and improving business processes. In terms of the scope, includes redesigning the following business processes and leveraging third-party COT software, and the areas of focus are listed under the financial and grants management and the procurement and supply chain management areas as detailed below. And Mark had also mentioned most of this. The city selected Workday and some associated third-party package solutions to support the financials, grants, procurement, supply chain, and business intelligence business processes. We have Workday, we have eCivis, which will essentially facilitate the city's grants, identification, qualification, budgeting, etc. And MCAT, which is really an inventory related software, has also been identified and as the software that we will use related to the inventory component of this project. And I wanted to, sort of talk about evaluation factors. This is information that's in the RFP, but I feel like it's good to review. This includes the supplier diversity as mentioned previously, but also lists other areas that will be used by the city to evaluate your proposals. The factors listed include most, if not all, of the factors that will be used to evaluate the proposals submitted. The city looks forward to receiving your proposals and reviewing them. And please note that the city is looking to make multiple awards and qualify vendors to bid on service orders at a future date on more specific scopes of work. Please note that it is not necessary to respond to the entire RFP. You can submit a proposal in the area that you feel most qualified for. For instance, we may have businesses that have expertise in change management or project management or supply chain management or financial management, and may only respond in those areas that they feel most qualified. And please know that we will review and evaluate all the qualified proposals in a fair and equitable manner, and we will make our award known before the contracts are executed. So that's typically the city's procedure, but I thought it was important to review this component of the RFP. And I think that is the end of my presentation. I did want to say, hold on, before you stop the recording, the pre-proposal, remind people that pre-proposal slide deck will be posted as an addendum. Please review and submit your complete proposal by the due date, probably before the due date. I would recommend 1 to 2 days before the due date, allowing, if there are issues with technology issues or bandwidth issues, that gives you a day or two to resolve those. This is advisable to ensure that you do not run into any technical issues that impede you from submitting your proposal. If you have any issues with eContract Philly, there's a tab labeled Need Assistance. I would follow the directions there on seeking assistance. And likewise with Decision Director, there's a support tab on that system, and you can contact them with assistance in gaining access to their system as well. I think that's what I wanted to highlight as the last component of my presentation. So I appreciate you listening, and I think we will stop the recording now.